What's good, y'all? It's your girl Glow, and we are back with another episode on The Glow Up. We are currently shooting our visuals, and we're dropping them on YouTube, also titled The Glow Up. So if you aren't already subscribed, make sure you go subscribe so you can check out these visuals. I usually record with the guest speakers, and this is when I do my visuals, but this episode in particular, I'm shooting by myself. So bear with me. It's my first time shooting a podcast episode by myself, and talking to yourself can be labeled as a little off, right? But we're gonna talk about it. We're here to talk about it. I had something that I had on my heart that I wanted to discuss, and I felt like it was something that I could just really speak on. So stay tuned, because we have some appearances coming and some topics that you don't want to miss. But specifically for this week, our title is To Be Bitter or Better. Let's talk about it. So as you already know, on The Glow Up, we talk about a bunch of different topics, and you're always going to get the real, the raw, and the truth, especially coming from me. So the topic is to be bitter or better, and I want to talk about bitter and better in multiple spaces, in the sense of a person, in the sense of being an individual. I want to talk about it as there are multiple layers of bitter and better. Now, bitter is always considered being mad at or making things difficult for the other parent when the other parent has moved on. And I'm here to challenge your thought process and to discuss the different layers that comes with being bitter, or if it's intentionally being better. Now, in my opinion, there are so many experiences that come with parenting. And a lot of times we seem to forget those layers of what a relationship entails before you become parents. Now, you want to turn back the hands of time, and you want to remember all of those memories and all of those free moments that you had with your person that you decided to start a family with. And how many of us really can relate to, you just didn't want to start a family and just leave it at that? There was layers to that. You wanted to build a foundation. You created life. You brought life into this world with someone, and there was more than just having sex. I want to unpack that as a single mother myself, and I feel like it's a topic that people usually don't want to talk about because we're afraid, and we don't want people to attach like negative emotions to real feelings that we have, right? So as a parent, as a mother, and I feel like I can speak for fathers as well, when you get into a relationship with somebody and you guys have a child, you guys made the conscious decision to have a child together. And I would hope in the most mature relationships, when you make that decision, you realize that you didn't make a choice to just fuck for the moment or just have a good time or just have sex. So my opinion of being in a committed relationship and creating a family is deeper than that of just fucking and having a good time. So when that goes south, there's a lot of emotions that are attached to that. And I think that that's pretty normal, right? In my opinion, again, this is always going to be my perspective and my opinion. My comments are open. My email is open. My DMs are open. So please be my guest if you have a different opinion. If you would like to be a guest, pop up on the show and we can talk about it. Run it back. My opinion is that when those expectations aren't met, it's a lot to think about all of the what ifs and how easily other people seem to just move about their life. Now, I can talk from being a mother and just feeling so many different ways when you come to the conclusion that something hasn't worked out in accordance to what you thought it would be. And I first want to remind somebody to give yourself grace. I want to remind somebody that as long as you know the choices that you're making is fully and wholeheartedly for the better of your children, sometimes you have to be okay with just letting shit go. Because you are moving in a light of wanting what's best for your children, and sometimes that means being firm and being true to what you believe and to setting boundaries, that doesn't make you bitter if in reality it is for the better being of the children. Now, I want to pick apart the word bitter and how often it's thrown around in these relationships, because there are bitter women out there. There are women who hold on to their men or their ex or their baby father or the father to their children, whatever you want to call them, sperm donors. And they are very upset that things didn't turn out in accordance to what they wanted. And that's okay. Your feelings are valid. And I just want to make sure that that point doesn't go unnoticed. Your emotions are very much valid, and it's not about what you feel, it's about what you do to rectify your feelings, right? So once you decide that, and maybe you didn't decide, maybe the person doesn't want to be with you, right? But if that is the case, you have to change the narrative, and you have to allow yourself the time to heal and to figure out what it is that you want and how can you attract the person, if that's what you want, a relationship in the future, right? How can you fix, or how can you move in a direction where you can attract the person that is meant for you and your children, and let things be what they're going to be. If that person is meant for you, they'll be back. If that person wants to be with you, they'll be back. Now, for me, I'm not chasing nobody. I'm not begging anybody to uphold me, my children, or my standards to what I would like. I'm very firm on what's for me is out there, and I'm going to run into it. Back to picking apart the word bitter. When you are moving from a malicious place and you're just trying to make things difficult for the other person because you're in your feelings, I'm sorry, but you can be bitter. But because you are bitter, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person, less of a mom, less of a woman. It just means that you have to heal and you have to get through certain phases of a breakup. So when you break up with that person, not only are you losing your family, but it's a breakup with somebody that you have a connection with, a long-term connection with, and that's difficult. And I feel like we have to unpack that within itself. Like understanding that as a single mom, as a parent, there's a lot that has to be broken apart with just knowing that you're breaking up with somebody, knowing that you have to let go of something that you have such high expectations for, moving in accordance to what is best for you, what is best for the children. 9 times out of 10, everything falls on us as the mothers. And that in itself is hard and stuff to really like piece together. Like, I can't believe that, everything is gonna fall on me when my shit goes south because I'm mom. That's really hard for a lot of women, including myself. So if I'm talking to you, make sure you take heed and you handle yourself with grace, because not every day is gonna be a good day. And some days it's gonna feel like you're being bitter, but in reality, you're trying to get better, okay? And I say that because sometimes you have to detach from someone, and that means these kids is mine wherever I go. And if that means I gotta get away from you for a little bit, guess what? My kids gotta come with me. And if they're not gonna come with me, I have to be sure that I can trust you and that you are in a space where I feel like, my kids will be good, for sake of word usage. Like, know your person and you know what is best for your children, right? So it's like you put yourself in a position to have kids with somebody who may not show you their true colors until it's too late. So then what do you do? Then what do you do in those predicaments? So, like I said, this episode is like to pick your brain and to, shed some light and to give insight. It's multi-purpose, right? And I want to make sure that I touch on topics that people usually undermine or sweep under the rug. So we talk about bitter, we talk about not being able to get over certain emotions. It takes a long time to figure out what is really hurting you, what is really bothering you. Is it the betrayal? Is it the fact that you can't live your life the way that you wanted to? Like 9 times out of 10, our life as moms stop once we have these kids. So we'll stop and we won't have like the freedom that we're used to having. But men go about their life and move on and find the next bitch to fuck on or find the next person to fill their ego and find. So, you know, I seen a post not too long ago that was like, oh, you know, why every time girls break up, they go on a healing journey. Now they healing. Like, most fucking times we have to heal because there's kids involved, there's trauma involved, there's, you know, childhood wounds that you done brought back up and weren't able to help you cope with. Like, it's a lot that goes into a breakup within itself. And when there's kids involved, I gotta fucking heal. I have to get back with myself. I have to get myself back to a level and to a place of reassurance for self, for these kids, for my life, for my family, because now I am the main source of family to my children. Like, so all of that to just put in perspective for a man that may be watching, like, the next time you want to call somebody bitter or say that somebody's just making things difficult for you, try to understand a woman's perspective and understand all of the things that entail, that it entails to go through a breakup, and you have to adjust. As a mom, you have to adjust. Did I think I was going to do this shit alone? Fuck no. When we decided that we were going to have these kids, did I think that I would end up having to heal, you know, figure out my life, piece back together my heart, deal with these kids that's getting on my goddamn nerves, figure out how I'm going to get from point A to point B? Like, I didn't think I was going to have to do this alone. Now, there are women who will go out here and just be like, fuck it, and worry about their happiness first and put themselves first. Do I knock them? No. But could I ever do that? I don't think so. The type of person, the type of mother that I am, like, I struggle with who I'm going to leave my kids with. If I'm going to leave my kids, you know, with somebody so that I can go out to have a good time, like, I would feel guilty. So do I get out often to have a good time? No. Do I get out often to release? No. Like, so when I'm stressed and I'm, you know, going off the deep end, freaking cursing everybody out, cursing the kids out, putting them down for a nap, like, how much time and how often do I have to, like, really get with myself and give myself a break or give myself that time to release, to healthily release the emotions that I'm feeling? So again, the next time you want to call a woman bitter as a man or as another woman, like, really think about all of the things that entails. Like, she may be bitter. She may be bitter. But do you understand all of the things that may have caused her to be bitter? Now, moving on to being better. Sometimes being better requires for you to detach in ways that is going to require you to set stern boundaries. And those stern boundaries sometimes will come across as being mean or being selfish or, you know, I don't know, whatever else people say about that. Like, and I personally struggle with that because a lot of times you don't want to be seen as bitter. So you go against your morals and you go against what you know you deserve and what you know the kids deserve and what you know is going to be most healthy for the children because you don't want to be seen or labeled as bitter. And it's like, being better, like, and overcoming things that you went through with somebody and trying to cope with someone who brings out triggers in you and brings out past hurts and brings out, you know, emotions that you're really not over. Sometimes taking the higher road is genuinely detaching from them, and that has to be in ways that you get a mediator or you have someone, you know, exchange the kids for you, or you cut all ties from them. The person doesn't know where you live. The person doesn't know. Y'all meet in a public space to exchange the kids. You know, you have minimum communication with them. Like, these are all things that I would categorize as trying to better yourself. Will the other person ideally define you as bitter? Probably. But as long as you know the reasons that you're doing it for, I really don't care. When somebody is actively making decisions to better their circumstances, whether that be to get away or to limit your access to them, venture out, date people, find what makes them happy, find a hobby. I think it's bitter on your behalf if you're not able to appreciate somebody actively doing the things necessary to better themselves for the sake of your children, for the sake of, the better being and the better life of somebody's happiness. 9 times out of 10, I think that we struggle with the fact that it is the ugly truth that no matter what happens in life, kids fall on the mom 9 times out of 10. And it's like, we're so insensitive to that because that's what's supposed to happen. And it's like, yeah, that's what's supposed to happen, but how about the harsh reality of all of the things that comes with that? I have 2 kids under 5. And if anybody else is out there struggling like I am to try and get my life together and get Glow together and focus on what makes Glow happy, but at the same time I'm trying to make my kids happy, and that goes against what I want sometimes and what I feel like I need, is like, you have a lot to battle with. That's a hard choice. You know what's right for you and your mental, and you know what's gonna propel you in a better direction, but your kid wants something else. And the other person is so inconsiderate of your emotions and what you have going on that they can't be consistent, or they can't meet you at a healthy median, or they can't find the mental capacity to understand your perspective. Does that mean that we want to be together, or that I want to be with that person and that person wants to be with me? No, that doesn't mean that. I'm mature enough to understand that I can't get rid of you. So let's meet halfway. Meet me where I'm at. Allow me to meet you where you're at. If we aren't seeing on the same accord, and schedules need to be put in place, boundaries need to be set, limits and respect, and allowing that person to meet your significant other, meet somebody that you're dealing with. Like, those are all things that I think are pretty natural, and I struggle when people don't see things and take things at face value. Like, I don't really want to be with you because I want to meet your girlfriend. Like, I don't want to be with you because I'm for real mad that you're out here dating and fucking and having a good time, and I'm stuck home trying to piece my life together. Like, that doesn't make me bitter that I'm feeling these ways, and it doesn't make you bitter. It doesn't make you bitter because you're upset at the circumstances. It doesn't make you less of a woman or less of a person if you're able to express how you feel. Yeah, I'm mad as shit. I'm fucking hating. How the fuck you get out there? You done had 6 relationships since we've been going through our drama, and here I am trying to figure out my life. I still ain't had me one good time yet. Goddamn. Yeah, I'm mad. Does that make me bitter? No, I'm fucking real. I understand that no matter what, these kids are my responsibility. I can't go out here and just date anybody because I can't bring anybody home to my kids. When do you worry about that? Never. Never. And that's all across the board. I'm just talking in general from my friends' perspectives, from people that I know's perspective. Like, just because I'm disclosing and talking about this topic, yeah, it's something that I can relate to, but people will tag it to me. Oh, she's going through this. Like, no, we all fucking go through different things in our lives. I have friends and I have people that go through shit. Like, you don't want to take responsibility of these kids. You don't want to help me with these kids. You don't want to take these kids to an appointment, but you want to come try to dictate and play dad of the year when you want to pop up ever so often. Now I'm bitter because you ain't seen my kid for 5 months, and I said, no, my kid can't go with you. Now I'm bitter because you want to come around and you want to play your part, and you want to be, sitting in my kid's face and probably making it seem like I got an attitude problem and you don't want to deal with me. But I've been busting my ass with these kids ain't sleep for 6 days. Where the fuck you been? Listen, I could go on and on and on about scenarios. And again, running it back, just because I'm talking about these scenarios, please do me a favor. Don't tag it to me. Don't attach it to me. This is just shit that I know people go through. And it's the sad truth. The way that people just assume that life is supposed to just move along when there's so much to unpack when it comes to being a better person, a better woman, a better father, a better, like, there's some men that do take responsibility of their kids and they uphold their kids, and listen, some baby moms are still giving them a hard time. And it's like, those are the baby moms that you need to question. Are you bitter or are you trying to be better? Because I wonder, like, some situations I'm like, you know, how is it that you're able to get the financial help? The dad gets the kids all the time. You know, the dad is active when it comes to these kids. No drop of a dime, the kid calls, he's there. And he's also providing financially. Like, he's also, you know, still being supportive of his children. Like, and you still trying to find ways to fight. Yeah, I don't know. You might still want that man. Like, you might be being bitter. You might. Not gonna lie. But 9 times out of 10, you have these moments where you're like stressed and you're trying to figure out what's the best thing to like do for yourself. We got mom life, work life, social life, you know, healing journeys, trying to find balance. Like, where do I start? And then you have this person that you started a family with that you didn't think that this is the position that you would be in, just living their best life to whatever extent that they feel like they need to move in and whatever direction they need to make them feel better. And then you want to come in my life and distort my peace and fuck up what I got going on because you aren't able to be consistent. I don't get the options to be consistent. Hell, listen, sometimes I be thinking about it. Like, I wish I could just did, leave them in daycare for a little bit longer. You know what I mean? Like, and some women do it and some women do it, but like, for like, if you're anything like me, like, my kids mean everything to me. I'm not chasing no dick over my kids. I'm not begging you to uphold me over my kids. Like, if it's gonna cause dysfunction in my house, if it's gonna cause hurt and pain in my body, soul, and spirit, I don't need it. I don't want it. And any decision that I make after that, just know it's to better myself. Like, don't call me bitter because I put a stop to your bullshit. Don't call me bitter because I want to make choices that are going to propel me in a better direction. Don't call me bitter. Wait, that's the one. Because I want to avoid my children having to heal from childhood wounds because we couldn't get it together as the people that brought them into this world. Or we couldn't make it work. Or we couldn't get it together. We couldn't be together. But I don't want them to have to heal from the way that we interact with one another. I don't want them to have to go out into this world thinking that it's okay to have these dysfunctional ass relationships and you just continue to drag them along because it's what works, it's what's okay. Like, no, like, we either gonna come to an agreement, we're gonna be on the same page, we're gonna work on the same accord for the better of these kids. So the next time that you throw in the word bitter around, take all of these things into consideration. I'm starting to get a little long, I'm starting to get a little weird talking to myself. So, you know, like, I need somebody to reiterate the fact that there's triggers. Like, how do you avoid triggers when somebody is so inconsiderate of the things that you're going through and the emotions that they done brought up in you, and now you have to heal from them with children? That's not easy. Meanwhile, you get to go out here and do whatever suits you best, not even thinking about them kids 9 times out of 10, because you know they with their parent. You know they with their other parent. Can that other parent depend on you the same way? Can that other parent count on you to move in the same way? Ask yourself those questions. If that person isn't able to count on you the same way, you can't be mad. You can't be mad. Like, there's so many things that come into like being a active parent. And it's like, I wonder, do people really think about that? Men and women. As women, are you putting your happiness before your children? Like, are you making choices on behalf of the better being and the better life quality of your kids? Or are you making choices because you're in your feelings? And sometimes it's like you have to get out of those spaces in your life. And if that means you have to cut ties so that you can get yourself together, be woman enough to do that for your kids. These kids are like the next generation. They're like the up and coming generation. Like all of the things that people talk about, generational curses and, you know, trigger rules and mental health awareness, like, but are you really meeting it? So like all your emotions are valid, and like I don't ever want it to come across as like I'm undermining the things that someone may be feeling and the things that someone may be going through. But I do want to open somebody's perspective, pick somebody's brain, and just remind somebody that, you know, when you aren't moving from a place of grace and positivity. So I feel like when you really unpack a co-parenting relationship, you have to understand that although your feelings are valid and your emotions are very much accounted for, you have to make the choices that are best for these children, essentially. And I say that, you know, respectfully. I know that sometimes it's easier said than done, but we want to raise, and the goal should always be to move in accordance to what is best for these children. So your feelings are very much valid, and it is okay to have those emotions that are attached to, you know, a partnership failing. Like, it makes sense that you may feel that way. Always G-check yourself. Am I acting like this because I'm in my feelings? Am I acting like this because I'm hating? Am I acting like this because I'm jealous? And remember that what you put out, you will get back. Not to say you don't have those moments, because we all do. Damn, motherfucker, you get to have 5 bitches and I still ain't find me one nigga yet. Like, I get it. Trust me, I get it. But, you know, in all reality, we want to build stability for these kids. And, you know, you have to know when to draw the line. You have to know when to set those boundaries and do what's best. Mother knows best is what they say. So, like I said, I didn't want this episode to go too long. I'm sitting here talking to myself or whatever. But I hope you guys got the message. It was just a podcast episode to pick your brain, shed some light, and to let you know that you're not the only one going through it, male or female. We all have moments in our life where we may be being a little toxic, a little bitter, but always work to be better. And always keep in mind that those kids are watching. So move in accordance to what makes you happy and what is going to fulfill those kids. As always, Glow Gang, peace and love. Catch you next time.